All right, welcome back. Now you have to forgive me. I had to detox. Usually takes me a day or two to detox. But I feel a lot better, and I want to deal with this crazy story. I wanted to wait until around this time to deal with this story. For those of you who don't know, I'm going to be home and I'm going to produce content during hours when I usually don't, because I've been laid off for a week. So I believe I made a post about it. So if you see me over here cooking dog culture at odd times, that is why. And I want to deal with, like I said, one story, but I might touch on another. This man that you see right now, his dog mauled his brother to death. And he saw it. He witnessed it. How many of you, I know most of y'all have read this story already. Easily the craziest story this year. And I'm saying this in October, confident that this is the craziest story any of you have heard in a long time. He witnessed his dog maul his own brother to death. And after his brother was mauled to death, he called, the cops and the ambulance, and he told them that the dog was a poodle. Yeah. He said, my brother's been mauled to death, and it's a poodle responsible. It was actually a cane corso. Cane corso. Essentially an XL bully. Now, they say that he knew that this dog was aggressive. And he knew that it would normally go for the face and neck before it attacked his brother. Well, you can't make this up. Now, do you think he accidentally told them that it was a poodle? Do you think he had memory loss? Do you think he was in shock? Do you think that was why he said that the dog was a poodle rather than a cane corso? I don't know. But the police and paramedics were surprised when they encountered the incredibly heavy dog, according to this report. After hearing how Stevens was abusive to emergency crews before the dog was tasered and eventually shot almost an hour later, paramedics and police officers attended the scene. And listen to this. This is what the judge said. This is a direct quote from the judge. And he's talking to the owner of this dog. He said, paramedics and police officers attended the scene and you came to the front door clearly drunk. The judge said you were obstructive as your exchanges with the officers continued. Police officers tried to persuade you to bring the dog under control, Your response was to mock them for standing back. So this man started to mock the cops and the paramedics for being afraid of the dog that had just deleted his brother. Imagine this scene now. He's in the room with his brother's carcass. When the cops and paramedics first showed up to the scene, he had the dog in a cage. And after they showed up, he released it. The same dog that deleted his brother. After they showed up, he released the dog and allowed it to roam about the apartment or house or whatever this was. And then started to laugh at the paramedics and cops and mock them for being afraid of the dog. I don't know about y'all, but I recognize that behavior. That's typical pit nutter, dirtbag behavior. And just like I said, they get off on seeing people scared and intimidated at these dogs because they feel like they have power. Because they feel like the dog won't attack them. So they can stand around and show no fear of the dog, while everybody else is fearful, and it gives them this false sense of power, like an idiotic dirtbag, like a worthless piece of trash, pathetic excuse of a human being. I mean, what a spineless coward you have to be to exercise a mentality like that. First of all, the dog is still willing to attack you and still might. And nothing about that scenario, is an example of manhood on your part, idiot. You demonic dirtbag. The judge added, "I'm entirely satisfied that you clearly knew of the dangers this dog presented prior to that fateful night. There was a lack or loss of control of the dog due to the influence of alcohol." It ain't have nothing to do with alcohol. But listen to this judge. During his sentencing remarks, the judge accepted that witnessing the death of his brother, being unsuccessful in saving him, was likely to have affected the defendant's mental health. So the judge gave his crazy demonic behavior a pass. And the judge said, oh, he just went crazy, temporary insanity, because he had to watch his brother get killed. Can you believe that? The court was told the victim, 51-year-old, had been drinking vodka with his brother after returning home from a bar. So they were both drunk. And he died near the foot of a stairway after suffering what the judge summarized as multiple massive and horrific injuries. Can you believe that, judge? Oh, you're just disturbed because you had to watch your brother get mauled to death. And here it is, this man was laughing at paramedics and cops. He wasn't traumatized by this situation. He sounded perfectly fine to me and within his faculties. Mocking the cop, the paramedics, allowing the dog to roam the apartment after they showed up. Part of his sentence was that he is given a life ban from keeping a dog. Listen to this. Really? Wow. Court was told that the Cane Corso was a blend with some sort of bull terrier. Duh. Which was not an XL bully. It was given to him by a mother of 5 who had too much going on to look after it. Listen to this. The ambulance, oh my goodness. The court was told that Stephen had sworn at officers. He held the dog's leash slacky and let the dog loose, causing some of the emergency services present to retreat inside of their vehicles. They couldn't even attend his dead brother because of him. The ambulance technician bravely entered the home anyway with the dog pacing the place to attend to the deceased brother. And that technician was bitten by that dog as he checked the deceased brother. This dude was a complete lunatic. And that's not the end of it. In police interviews, Ms. Pittman told the court Stephen said the dog would normally go for the face or neck area if it was aggressive, because that's what these dogs do. They are biting dogs. This is the lecture that he was giving the cops and the paramedics while they were present. Here it is right here, look. Initially, he used a cage to protect others, but later let the dog roam inside his property. Elsewhere in interviews, he described the dog as assertive and said it had previously attacked an Akita and had gone for and had a look at his 2 other brothers. Now, police asked this man how he believed the fatal incident happened. You know, the dog mauling his brother to death. And he said, "My brother speaks with his hands, especially after a drink. He can be quite aggressive in his tone, and the dog would react to that. I think that must have been the trigger. It's the only thing I can think of." So this man had his faculties. He was conscious enough, lucid enough to think of this cover story. And it's a wild guess on his part. And he blindly blamed his dead brother for the attack. Okay. Oh, okay. Well, my brother, that dead guy over there, my brother, who I just watched get mauled to death, he most likely provoked the dog. Because after a few drinks, he starts to talk with his hands. And it must have triggered the dog. Right? But what? Poor doggy. All right, buddy. During mitigation, defense counsel says Stevens had been subjected to severe violence during his childhood and had offered Wayne somewhere to live at a time when he was homeless. It's something he will never forget, and something he will never forgive himself for. Mr. Stanford said, his remorse is genuine. You think so? Boy, detective said this was a very difficult incident which put officers and paramedics at significant risk. And I would like to extend my gratitude to those who attended. They did everything they could to try to protect everyone involved and not cause harm to the dog involved. They did end up shooting it. I'm sure the swift action's okay. You talk about dog worship. This is the result of elevating these mutants. Nobody can convince me that the dog, the presence of the dog, the existence of the dog, didn't play a role, and dog culture in general didn't play a role in this man's dehumanizing of himself and his brother. He had no value for life at all. Just watched his dog maul his brother to death, and then released the dog once the cops and paramedics showed up, and mocked them for being afraid of that same dog, and decided to give them a lecture. Hey, you know, this dog usually goes for the face and neck. You know, they're biting dogs. Brother, his dead brother is right there. And then here comes a brave paramedic, walks in, see if they could save his brother, and he allows that dog to bite that paramedic. For what it sounds like, he probably laughed about it. They ask him, hey, what do you think happened? Well, my brother probably provoked it. The judge looked at this and said, oh, this man is suffering from temporary insanity. I'll give him a pass. He had to watch his brother get mauled to death, and he couldn't stop it. So that must have drove him insane. That's why he behaved the way that he did. They only gave this man 4 years. 4.5 years. I mean, this was not only, man, I would use the 6-letter word, but even after, it sounds like he allowed his dog to delete his brother, he started to threaten to let it delete the cops and paramedics as well. They had to shoot it. So y'all gonna, wait a minute. Y'all gonna lock a lunatic like this up for 4 years and then let him back on the streets? Really? Man, if this is not a person who should spend the rest of his life behind bars, I don't know who is. And another example of a failed system. Now, where was this? I don't even know where this was. Derbyshire. Okay, so it's probably in the UK over there somewhere. They had to call 999, so wherever that is. Boy, oh boy. Dog culture. It's just full of filth, isn't it? And they're trying to tell us that these demons from the pits of hell relieve stress. This surfaced on the 16th of this month. And I just briefly want to point out that these things do the opposite of relieving. I've said this several times. Beasts, monsters is what these are, with a reputation. A gruesome, evil reputation, which is why you have to drug them up before you bring them into places like this. These things will never relieve stress or anxiety. Instead, they will always increase it. Even if you drug them up. Look at these goofies with this shag rag. This thing is like a living rug, doing exactly what the experts tell you not, putting your stupid face right in that stinking, hideous mutt's face. Her anxiety is not lower. They all have increased stress and anxiety. Look at this disgusting mutant. Dog culture is 100% trash. Because dogs are trash. And I'm sick of people, looking at it as a badge of honor to be taken off of this earth by trash. I'm not going to disgrace myself like that. I'm not going to be rubbing on these pieces of trash. These worthless maggots. Go ahead and worship them all you want to. Dog lovers. Yeah, a lot of dog lovers finding my content. And they're finding out real fast, you cannot guilt shame me or any of us. You have no idea how good it feels to hate these things. And I actually feel sorry for y'all, still somehow caught up and brainwashed to love them. Shout out to all of you able to join me for this late night live stream. And I hope you can join me on the next as we continue with this crusade.